Hi everybody, welcome to the Manifold channel. Today we're going to do a real-life project using the transform pane. We're going to convert USGS map grid names into NAIP file names so we can have an index of NAIP file names. This is a video version of an example topic that's in the user manual. What we have here is a map. We're looking at Manifold Release 9. This works in Viewer 2. And we have three layers: Bing Street Maps layer, we have an NAIP image right there, and then we have the USGS grid that we imported from the USGS website. Now the problem is, if we open up the grids table, is that the USGS grid uses a combination of cell names and so-called map coordinate names, which involve this two-letter extension to specify the location of each individual NAIP grid. And what we want to do is we want to be able to use file names like this, which is a JPEG 2000 file name. We want to use JPEG 2000 format because it's fast and convenient. And in order to get file names like this, where we have this bit right here from the cell map coordinates, we have to change something like this from something like this into this sort of number, which basically boils down to changing the E4 extension into a 29 extension. Now, the formula is given in the user manual topic, but basically we have to change the A to 0 and H to 7 and so forth in between, and then we can use a formula to compute this number to generate the text version of what we can concatenate all together to do that. So let's have at it, and we're going to start with the focus on this table. And what we're going to do is in the transform pane, I'll click on transform. I'll choose the cell name field first. In the cell name field, we're going to use the reduce template. Double click on that to launch it. So we're going to choose the end of the cell name and the last two characters from the end, and we're going to put those into a result field, into a new field, which we are going to call quadrant. If we want to, we can preview this. So let's see what the preview does, and I can drag this next to there to see what that does. You can see that we're pulling this northwest bit out of here and putting it into the reduce pane. Click transform, and that automatically creates a new field like that called quadrant. Okay, let's pop up one level, and what I'm going to do is I'll choose the quadrant field now, and I'm going to choose case because I want to make that lowercase. So quadrant lowercase preview, and it shows what that'll do. Yep, that's what we want it to do. So we've just changed the quadrant field in place to a preview. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use that reduce field again on the cell mapco field. Reduce the template again, the cell mapco field, and double click reduce. And what I want to do is I want to let's see. From the start, I want to pull the first 5 characters out of that. I want to pull this bit out, and we're going to put that into a new field, which we're going to call cell, C-E-L-L, and do a preview. And you can see how we can drag and drop that next to that. We can see how what we're doing is we're pulling just those first 5 characters out of that field into that, create a new field right there. Click transform, and that creates a new field called cell. Let's make these cells a little bit smaller, so we leave room for whatever we're doing next. And now, with all the stuff still here, we're going to, with the cell map code, we're going to choose the last of the last two because we're going to pull these 2 characters out. So we're going to go to the end of that field, and we're going to use the last 2 characters, and we're going to put that into a new field called letter, L-E-T-T. Okay, I'll spell that right, L-E-T-T-E-R. Click preview, and you can see what we're doing. We're pulling that out. Click transform, and there's our letter. Okay, super. And now what I want to do is I want to pull this last number from out of here into a new field called number. So I'm going to change this from cell mapco. I'll change it to letter. Notice how this is persistent. We still want the end. We still want 1. We're still going to use a new field, and our new field is going to call that number. Again, we'll try to spell that right. Click preview. And you can see that what we're doing is we're pulling that last digit out of there to create a field called number. Click transform, and there's our number field. Well, we can reduce the sizes here just a bit. Let's make those a little bit smaller. And now what I want to do is I just want to reduce this letter field to just the first letter. So to do that, I'll choose start, and just the first character, and I want to use the same field. I want to do that in place. So we're going to alter the letter field, the start to the first number, same field in place. Click preview, and that shows what's going to happen. That's what we want. Click there, and you can see the field has been reduced in place to that number right there. You can see how this works very fast because the transform pane remembers what we want. Now what I want to do is I want to add a new field called letter num, and for that I'll use the edit schema pane. And we're going to click create a new field, and we're going to call that letter num. N-U-M. And we want to make that an int32 field. Click OK. Does that look right? Yeah, it looks right. Click Save Changes. OK, and there's our new letter num field. Super. Now what I want to do is I want to populate the letter num field with an expression. And to do that, we're going to go up here and we're going to choose the letter num field. And we're going to click here on expression, edit expression. I'm copying and pasting this stuff, so that doesn't always necessarily work out the way I want it to. Okay, there we go. So we want to take the letter num field and we want to convert that in place to that expression right there. Is that right? Yeah, it's right. Let's click preview. So you can see what's going on here. Every place where there's a letter G or A, for example, A turns into 0, B turns into 1, and so on down to H turning into 7. And if you want, we can just make that right next, drag that right next so we can see how the correspondence, so H goes to 7, A goes to 0, and so on. That's good. Let's click transform. And now we've created the letter num field. All right, now we're getting almost to the point where we can do the grid lock computation for a grid location. And we're going to leave all this here the same way it was. Choose edit expression. Well, first I'm going to copy a formula that I want to use. And now I'm going to click edit expression, and here in this formula I'm going to replace that with this expression right there. And what we're doing here is this is the computation where we're taking 65 minus the letter num field times 8 plus the number field as an int32, and because this number field is a text field, we're going to cast it on the fly into being a number. Click OK. That's our expression, and that's going to go into a new field. We're simultaneously computing the expression, and we're going to create a new field at the same time, which is called grid lock, short for grid location, and I want to make that a type int32. That's good. Let's do a preview, and that looks like about what it should be. So it doesn't look crazy. Click transform, and I've just created a numeric expression, int32 expression called grid location. All right, I now need to make a text version of this, because what we have to do is we have to add a leading 0 to these fields, because we're going to concatenate them all together, and then there's a leading 0 because they're basically concatenated as text form. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a text field called letter, and because I want the end result to be a text expression, so I'm going to click expression, and then here I'll choose edit expression and enter that. I've just chosen a text field because I want the result to come out as a text, but I can write in here the expression whatever I want. So let's do that, and the result is going to go into a new field which I'm going to call, let's call that grid lock text, and click preview. And that expression is going to end up looking the same as gridlock, except that what we have here is a numeric field, and this is a different type field. This is going to be a text field. Click transform, and I've just created a text version of the grid location field as a text form. All right, super. Now what I need to do is I need to let's go up one level, and I'll choose grid location text. And what I need to do is I need to pad that, because I want to pad it with the leading 0. So at the beginning of the start, I want to what I want to do is I want to put the character 0 and pad it so that all these end up being 2 characters. That's going to unaffect all the ones that are already 2 characters long, but those which are not 2 characters, like this one right here and these 2 down here, are going to be padded with a leading 0, that is a padding at the start. Click preview, and you can see how that's going to work. For example, 8 is going to go into 0, 8, 3 is going to go to 0, 3, and so forth. Click transform. And there, I've transformed that in place. So now all those have been padded, which is pretty cool. And now we're all set where we can start concatenating things. And what I will do is I will go up one level, and I'm going to choose cell, because I want to base it all on this cell. That's going to start with that. And now I'm going to choose the concatenation. And we'll start with concatenation where at the beginning, at the start, we're going to add m underscore to form that file name. And the result is going to go into a new field, which we will call stem, S-T-E-M. Spell that right, and choose preview, and that shows how this is going to be concatenated with m underscore to form that. Click transform, and there now we have stem. Now for the field I will choose stem, because now I'm going to concatenate some additional things onto that stem, but now we're going to concatenate to the end. That is, we're going to append to the end. And what we're going to do at the end, instead of this value here, we're going to append a field. We're going to append the contents of that field, and the result is going to go into the same field. So let's preview that so you can see how that works. What you can see is what we're going to take is this gridlock text field, and we're going to add it, append it to the end of the stem field right there to form something like that. And these all look right. So I'm going to click transform, and there we've appended all that right. We need to append one more thing to that. To the end of it, we're going to append the quadrant. And for a separator, I'm going to use an underscore. There. So let's preview that. I'll make this a little bit smaller to give us a little bit more room so we can see the preview more clearly. There. And you can see what that's going to do now. We're going to append the quadrant to the end. So here's the quadrant value. That's going to get appended to the end of this to form something like that. The dot here, by the way, indicates that what the preview we're seeing is going to apply to this field there. It's going to change that field. Let's click transform, and there we've transformed it. So we're now done. We've actually taken this complicated this expression right here, which isn't all that useful, and we've formed an expression like this. We've created that by first extracting and converting, transforming different parts of this these letter number sequences into a numeric number. We've padded that with a leading 0. We concatenated this all together, putting an M in the front of it, and attaching the quadrant to the back of it with an underscore. And that's how quickly you can do all this stuff. And you can see how the previews have really worked wonders for us, because the previews can show us where we're making a mistake. If we're ever going to make a mistake, we can see what's going to happen when we do the preview. So when you do a sequence of steps like this, it can be very convenient to have those previews. We don't need these intermediate fields that we created. We can delete those. That's no big deal. But you can also see how in the transform pane, when we're doing various transforms, that in addition to doing the actual transformation, it can also create a destination field for us on the fly, and put the results of our transformation into that destination field. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I know it's been fast-paced. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot more in the user manual. Check out the user manual example topic. That's a version of this, and you'll see how all this goes together if you want to repeat any details. Again, thanks for watching, and goodbye from Manifold Land. Well, that was fun. If you want to see more, visit us at www.manifold.net. As always, Manifold delivers the world's most advanced, highest quality spatial products for GIS and DBMS at a low price that you can afford. Once again, that's manifold.net. See you soon.